Can you talk a little bit about, I mean, there's been kind of unprecedented access to the program here compared to what we're used to. Can you talk a little bit about your philosophy on that and how that's good for the program?
Yeah, again, I felt when I was hired here that it's a beautiful place. It's a great facility. Got a lot of guys that are working hard here. Got a heck of a staff that I'm really proud to be associated with, and so I don't see why we can't let you guys in every now and then to see what we're doing and see what we're all about.
The players seem to have kind of embraced that too. Do you get that sense?
Yeah, they do, and I think it's good for the program when people can see the type of players that we have here, which are high character kids, kids that want to be coached and want to be good, and most importantly want to get a great degree. So the more those guys are seen by people in the community and around the country, to me, is good.
Bill, everybody's been kind of talking about the passing game, what you're going to bring to the passing game, but what can we expect from Silas Red and the rest of the running game for next year?
Well, to be honest with you, I'll tell you the running game's ahead of the passing game right now. I'm pretty pleased with where the running game is, and I've been pleased with the offensive line and the blocking of those guys and the tight ends and the running of the backs. So I think that Silas Red obviously is the top back coming back, and he's had a really good spring. He's a great kid to be around, and it's a really solid group that's at that position. So it'll be fun to watch those guys grow throughout the rest of the spring and into training camp.
Is he going to be more involved in the passing game than he was, I guess, last year?
I don't know. How involved was he last year?
Not very involved.
Yeah, well, I don't have any idea. So, but yeah, we throw to the backs.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Bill, you're 8 practices or so in. What's it been like for you? Has there been a learning curve being a head coach for the first time? What are some of the things that have been maybe challenges for you?
No question. The biggest challenge is you go from 53 on the active roster and 8 practice squad players, 61 players to approximately 100 or so players. So you're trying to get everybody a bunch of reps so you can evaluate them on film. That's been the biggest challenge, is making sure that you don't have a lot of guys standing around during practice. So the numbers of players and the different drills to try to split these guys up, that's been the biggest challenge.
You have to really lean on your assistants and the strength coaches and everybody else to help there?
Yeah, especially the guys that have been in college football over the last 5 to 10 to 15 years. Those guys, they have a good understanding of the different drills that we're trying to do and how we want to divide guys up. So there's no question we got a bunch of smart guys on the staff, and they definitely help out with their ideas.
Bill, how will you treat the blue-white game next Saturday? What will the fans expect there as far as your philosophy of how to play that spring game?
Well, we just want to come out and we want to be very organized. We don't want to turn the ball over. We don't want to commit a bunch of penalties. I wouldn't expect a bunch of fireworks. There's 85,000 people in the stands, and I'm not sure who all those 85,000 people are. So I wouldn't expect us to show a lot. But we'll show up and we'll play hard, and I just want our guys to give a solid effort and play good football on both sides of the ball and in special teams.
Bill, do you expect the 3 quarterbacks to share reps in the blue-white game to get about the same number of reps?
I would expect that, and can I guarantee that? No, because of how the game will be set up. I definitely want those guys to have equal amount of reps at that position.
You've had players that have had to learn new systems on both sides of the ball. The progress that's been made just from day one of spring, are you happy with that?
It's okay, especially offensively. I wish it was coming along a little faster, and some of that's probably, we've thrown a lot at these guys, and to be fair to them, they've got to go to class too. But what we've tried to do is make sure that we put everything in so that when we get to training camp, they haven't heard it for the first time. So I think the progress has been decent, but not, obviously, like every coach would say, it's not to the point where I would like it. Obviously, we have a long way to go, but defensively, we're definitely ahead of the offense, and that's probably to be expected right now with the new offense and the things that we're trying to do. But we'll get there. We got a bunch of hardworking kids and smart guys, so we'll get there.
Coach, your offense has said that the offense is a lot more intricate now, and one position could be based on what somebody else is doing. Is there a risk of getting too complicated, and how do you mitigate that as they're trying to put it all together and learn it?
Yeah, there's no question. You have to find the balance between a really good scheme, but also understanding that you want these guys to play fast. So the other day in practice, we did some things to help the players out, and it seemed like that was one of our better offensive practices. So that's what we'll continue to do the rest of the spring. But there's no question that you have to watch how much you're doing. If you overload them, then they don't play as fast as you want them to play or as confidently, and so a lot of that's coaching.
How about your patience? Have you had a moment where you're like, I'm not in the NFL anymore, I got to remember that?
Not really. You know, it hasn't been that long ago that I was in college, so you know, I'm settling in pretty well. And again, the biggest challenge is the number of guys on the team and making sure that that everybody gets reps. I'm not saying it's an equal amount of reps, but at least they're out there where we can evaluate them off the film and let them know what their role is at the end of the spring.
Coach Gerald Hodges said he moved to the strong side. How has he practiced this spring so far?
He's had one of the better springs. He's a heck of a player, very intense guy, athletic guy. He's what you'd picture in a Penn State linebacker. He's poised to have a very good year for us.
He and several other players said you're pretty intense in practice, but Hodges also said you like to joke around a little bit in practice too. What's your personality and your philosophy in practice?
Oh, football. I mean, this is you know, they've been in class all day. They've been in study hall, and you know, it's a challenging place to go to school. So when they come here, it can't be all business. You know, we have to have some fun. We are in spring football. We are a ways away from the first game, although it's right around the corner. I understand that, but you know, it's got to be fun. You know, and I have a unique sense of humor, and so I just try to feel they're getting used to that. But football practice is intense, and so we try to keep them moving, but also mix in some fun things too.
Can you give us an update on
a lot of bad jokes? Is that
Who said that? Hodges?
I won't say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't hear any jokes coming from Hodges. So. No, yeah, I'm not I guess you'd have to hear the jokes, judge them yourself, but I'm not telling any today.
Can you give us an update on Davon Smith and Kyrie Fort?
Sure. Davon sprained a foot. Probably missed the rest of the spring. That's precautionary. You know, why bring him back in the spring when, you know, he can rehab it and concentrate on academics and things like that. So he won't be back for the spring. But he was having a very good spring up to that point. So we're looking forward to him coming back for training camp. And I don't think it's anything major. It's not. And then Kyrie Fort banged up his knee about a week ago, I think it is. And seems like that's coming along pretty well. And so we're going to see where that is about the middle of the week and then make a judgment whether he should you know, participate in the blue-white game and things like that. But he was also a guy that was having a good spring, so we're looking forward to getting him back whenever that is.
What type of role will the fullback play in your offense?
Well, you know, I've always enjoyed having a fullback when we've had one. We didn't have a fullback in New England last year until the end of the year. Fullbacks are guys that the phrase I use is they calm the game down. You know, that you're able to see regular defense and there's the threat of the run and the pass when you have a fullback in the backfield. And Michael Zordich is obviously our fullback, and he's had a really good spring. He's tried to improve every day, and he's a typical Penn State guy. You know, his dad was a captain here and a heck of a player too. And so it's been fun to be around Michael. But we'll definitely use the fullback.
Is the end of spring or the blue-white game the end of spring practice, or will you be practicing after that as well?
No, that's the end because you're allowed. You know, you're allowed 34 days, I think it is, to get 15 practice. Don't quote me on that, although all the cameras are on me, you're going to quote me. Some math problem there, but we starting Monday, you really can't. Spring practice is over, so you know, Saturday is the last practice, so we'll get one more walkthrough type of practice in next week at some point.
Bill, have you gathered enough information about the incident in Davon Smith's apartment on campus? You said you wanted to collect evidence before you made a decision. I was just wondering if you're still collecting information on it.
Yeah, I'm still collecting information on that. Again, like I said, Davon hasn't been charged with anything yet, as far as I know, and I'm still collecting information on that.
With the quarterbacks, is consistency, could that be a factor that could cause some separation with the three, or is there another factor or other factors?
Yeah, consistency is that's a good question. That's a big part of it, you know, just being able to string a couple good practices together. And those guys are really trying hard to do that. They work really hard. They're all smart guys. It's been fun to be around them. They compete, but you know, they do. That's probably the main word that they have to understand is if they can just continue to try to be consistent and make good decisions and throw the ball accurately, then that's probably the guy that we would go with. But again, there's not a clear separation there, but there will be. You know, eventually there will be.
Bill, what have you seen from the guys you've moved to other positions? And are you going to move anyone else in the second half of spring?
Thinking about it. Not going to let you know that right now, Bob, but I'm thinking about it. I would say Cadogan, we moved to tackle from tight end. Seen some good things there. He's a great kid. Enjoyed watching him improve every day. Billy Belton is definitely a running back, and that was a good move. He's had a little bit of a muscle pull here and there, but he's for the most part has had a good spring. Those are the two main ones that I think.
Royer? Anything?
Royer, yep, sorry, good. You remind me. I should know my team better than you. Royer, we moved to tight end, and he's playing that F kind of sub tight end position, and he's coming along pretty well. He's a good athlete. He plays hard. That's not an easy position to learn, so it's coming along at somewhat of a slow rate, but he's really working at it, and I've enjoyed being around him.
How about Drake in the secondary?
Drake is, he's got a little bit of a shin problem, with his leg, but when he's been in there, you can see flashes that, there's a chance that he could help us there.
Bill, we cover the high school kids in the fall, obviously, that's very important. What was the relationship been like with the coaches, the high school coaches that you got to meet here in your time taking over? And it always seems to be a very important role between the high school football and staying in state, and all the kids seem to want to play here at Penn State, and your relationship with all the local high school coaches.
It's been great. I enjoy being around the high school coaches. We had a big clinic here, and hopefully next year we'll have even more coaches here, but a couple weeks ago we had about 400 coaches here, and that was great to get to know those guys. And then I've spoken at some clinics around the state, and it's a passionate state for high school football, and some great coaches, and really it's fun to be around those guys and get to know them.
You mentioned about the blue-white game, not knowing who's going to be in the stands, and we might not see everything, but given that this is the first time the fan base is going to see what you guys are all about, does that factor at all into what we're going to see come Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, look, we want to look like a sharp football team, but again, I'm not going to. It's not a game. It's a practice for us. So it's another opportunity for us to evaluate our football team. So I would say that the expectation level for the actual football playing on the field, I wouldn't say that it should be too high. And I think that we've got guys that are still learning our systems, and we'll go out there and hopefully play fast and not turn it over and don't commit penalties and try to look like a sharp football team. But we've got a long way to go, and hopefully, they don't judge us off the spring game.
What is it like trying to develop and evaluate players that you'd never seen a few months ago? Is that tough doing both those things at the same time?
It's fun. It's one of the joys. It's really a fun. It's the best part about coaching, is that you're able to evaluate guys while you're teaching them, and part of evaluating a guy is how he picks things up mentally. So that's been one of the best parts of the last 8 practices, headed into 9 today. So it's been fun to be a part of that.
But what's been the biggest change for you? I mean, like NFL, what would you have been doing this time last year?
I knew you would show up somewhere. I knew you'd be lurking around. What last year NFL? You'd be getting ready for the draft, so you'd be traveling around to schools and preparing for the draft right now. So yeah, there's a lot more time in the NFL between the end of the season and when the mini camps start. So it's different. I went from the Super Bowl for a couple months, did some winter conditioning here, some recruiting and things like that, and then now you're right back into football. So it's been definitely something.
Will you take
different.
any time off at all in the summer? I mean, or can you just keep going like this nonstop right into the season? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 42 years old. I mean, I got energy. I mean, I'll take a little time off here and there, but the priority is my family and the Penn State football program, and so I'm gonna put everything I have into both those things, and hopefully at the end of the day, I'm a good husband, I'm a good father, and a good football coach.
Look, after a blue-white game, what will you guys do then? What will you do?
Well, as a staff, you mean?
Yeah. Like what would be?
Yeah. Well, most of our guys will pretty soon thereafter be out on the road for the May recruiting period. But we'll also have a couple of days there where we evaluate the spring practice and evaluate how we practiced, how the practice was set up. We'll evaluate our players, obviously, where everybody's fitting in and things like that. So there's a lot of things to get done over those couple days there before they head out on the road, and we'll probably some of that will still be happening when they come back in off the road. But the primary activity for the assistants will be recruiting.
Bill, how much have you been able to interact with some former Penn State players, and what kind of feedback have you got from them?
Yeah, I've interacted with quite a few, you know, and I've received very positive feedback from all of them, and you know, I just like I said at my opening press conference, I just asked them to give us a chance to get to know them, and I think at the end of the day they'll see that we all share the same values of great football and great academics, and that's what it'll always be here. And I've met quite a few, and it seems to me, you know, to my face, they seem like they're very supportive.
You've also had opportunities to make a lot of public speaking appearances, and have you been able to gauge the enthusiasm and the excitement from the fans about the kind of the new era Penn State football?
Not really. I just go out there and, you know, again, I've said this a lot, I just try to be myself and tell people what I believe in, what our staff believes in, and you know, hopefully that creates some enthusiasm. You know, we've got an excited team here, a team that's ready to start playing and ready to have a good blue-white game and work out for the summer and then get going in training camp. So people should be really excited about what's going on here.
One more. You guys good?
Good.
Thanks, guys.
Good.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.